Thank you
Yes,
very much for having me. First of all, my hearts and soul to the Palestinians, including children and families who have been killed, displaced, dispossessed, and robbed of their own rights of land. They have rights to resist, rights to live harmoniously and peacefully on their own land. The current onslaught, the massacre, the genocide by Israel is a clear, continuous settler colonial project, apartheid regime, crime of humanity, barbaric and collective punishment that violates all international humanitarian law. And it has to stop, it cannot continue. And it is deemed to wipe out and annihilate the Palestinians of the face of their own land. The arrogant position of Israel has been known for the last 6 to 7 decades. And yet Palestine and Palestinians still resist. The resistance by Hamas on 7th of October was a testament to this. Therefore, it was not an act in vacuum, as was mentioned by Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General. And those Palestinians who have managed to remain in historic Palestine, in spite of the ceaseless efforts to dispossess them, continue to resist erasure. And on this aspect, Malaysia's position is very clear. It is very clear that Malaysia remains firm and steadfast in its stand that the Palestinians must be granted absolute freedom from Israel's illegal occupation. And our government's foreign policy, would continue to prioritize the struggle to liberate the Palestine land and its people. We will always support the Palestinian cause. In fact, Malaysia has been vocal in its relationship with Hamas. To us, Hamas won the elections and the people of Gaza chose them to lead. And therefore, they have a right to resist the occupation and gain freedom for Palestine. I would also like to reiterate what our Prime Minister, Syed Ibrahim, has already mentioned, that we are an independent country. And we are also saying that Malaysia will remain firm in its humanitarian considerations and condemn Israel's unlawful occupation of Palestine. And he said that, the Prime Minister said, the politics and the disorder did not only start last month, but it has been going on for decades since 1948. And therefore, it is unreasonable to set aside the violence, invasion, and colonialism of Israel on the Arab territory of Palestine. He also said that while Russia's invasion of Ukraine was condemned, the same was not done in the Israeli occupation of Palestine, especially by countries such as the US, although it had gone on for many years. And the same can be said of the situation during apartheid South Africa. ANC, or the African National Congress, was labeled as a typical terrorist organization by Margaret Thatcher and Reagan. It was regarded as one of the greatest misjudgments, as by end of the world or the Cold War, Thatcher had to bow to the inevitable. She welcomed Nelson Mandela to Downing Street a few months after his release from prison. And the hypocritical nature of the West, especially US and UK, is not surprising, as in the case of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. When Ukrainians attacked back after Russia's invasion, the US celebrated them in fighting occupation. When Palestinians do the same against Israeli occupation as the occupier, they are condemned. There's clearly double standards in endorsing terrorism. And as far as our parliament is concerned, we have, there are two divides of the parliament. We have the government and the opposition, but on the issue of Palestine, we are together. And inshallah, we are also in the midst of forming a regional parliamentarian comprising of the countries in Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and even perhaps some of the Asia Pacific countries like Australia and New Zealand. We're going to collaborate with all the member of parliament that would have the same mindset and that support Palestine. And I think that the only two things that we'll be able to hold together the member of parliament, first is to stop the war, cease fighting. Second is to open up the border and bring in humanitarian assistance. And I think as far as the parliamentarians are concerned, yes, we need to do more. I believe there are also very strong global organizations, for example, the League of Parliamentarians for Al-Quds, and then we have the IPUC, the International Parliamentarians of Union of Coalition, Islamic Parliamentarians of Union Coalition. So there are many more, but I think it's not a problem for us to have more of these coalitions of parliamentarians, as long as we have the same mindset and it is for the freedom of Palestine.